Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of In the Pit with Lobo Tigre. Our victim of the day is Rick Mazur. He's the CEO and president of Forum Energy Metals. And we've been talking a fair amount about uranium lately. It's been quite the overperformer this year amongst the metals. But this is an energy metals company with more than uranium to it. So, Rick, why don't you go ahead and give us the overview of what you're doing, and then I've got some questions for you.
Sure. Louis, thanks for having me. We're listed on the TSXV as FMC. We've been in business for 16 years. I started the company as a uranium exploration company, and in 2018, we diversified into the energy metal space by picking up energy metal prospects. So we're a discovery company.
Okay, well, that was admirably succinct. And I have questions about the specific projects. I've been through your presentation, and I have questions. But let's actually talk about the commodity suite and that branching out. You know, at the time, the battery metals were really making headlines, and everybody's all excited. And now that seems to have cooled off. We've got this, COVID-19 shutdown, the global economy going into a bit of a tailspin here. You can't undo what's been done. But presumably this is short term. What is your outlook there? You have a new suite of metals, and I'm inviting you to make your case a bit on why this was a good idea to branch out into the energy metals away from uranium.
Yeah. So Louis, the number one battery metal or electric metal in our view is and always has been copper. So that was our first diversification. We scoured the planet for good copper prospects, and much to our surprise, we discovered the Janice Lake sedimentary copper project right in our own backyard of Saskatchewan. I should state that we are a Saskatchewan.
Sorry, that's Love Lake, right?
No, Janice Lake. Janice Lake is the sedimentary copper project, which we acquired 100% back in 2018. That was our first acquisition. And within 1 year, we had a $30 million joint venture with Rio Tinto on that project.
Okay, all right. I got my wires crossed. I was looking at the presentation and I was thinking that your energy metals concentration was in the Love Lake project, but I guess that was acquired later?
Yes, indeed. After we announced the joint venture with Rio Tinto, what next for the company? We are a project generator. That's our model. Our business model has always been to discover underexplored prospects in Saskatchewan and find joint venture partners. We did that successfully at Forum when we were focused on uranium, bringing in Cameco or Rano as joint venture partners, bringing in Rio Tinto as a joint venture partner on one of our uranium projects. So we continued that model by diversifying into the copper space. And as I mentioned, Rio Tinto came in as a JV partner on what I think is a world-class copper exploration prospect.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. But first, I got to say, I'm really happy to hear you say that first and foremost, the energy metal is copper. I have a very similar view, and lithium is clearly central to the story now, but it's not rare. And it's really hard to compete with the South American brines and the cobalt thing. Some of these thinly traded metals are tricky, but copper is the obvious winner here going forward as the world increasingly electrifies. So I'm happy to hear that strategic priority you place there. So why don't you talk us through about Rio? I know that they spent like more than $3 million last year, and how's that going, and what should we expect for this year?
Yeah, it's going really well. So we acquired that, as I mentioned, in 2018. I scraped together $500,000 in a very difficult market, as you know, back then, and drilled 4 holes into it. and got some tremendous results, better than 1% copper intercepts over very large thicknesses. And when I put the results out, I had 3 confidentiality agreements with major copper producers, and Rio Tinto was just fastest to the game. And they've been a tremendous partner. Within 3 months of that, getting that joint venture agreement agreed to, took a couple of months to get the legals done. They were drilling on our property. So I think the thing about Janice Lake is Rio Tinto has world-class potential. It's the same style of deposit as the Zambian copper belt or the Congo copper belt where Friedland is operating. Same type of deposit. And we're getting tremendous early stage results replicated by Rio Tinto in their $3 million drill program last year. This year, they will commence a drilling program this summer. Drill crews should be there by the end of July. They're actually mobilizing their geological team this month to start prospecting and mapping the whole 52 kilometer length of the property. I have to say, what's got Rio Tinto really excited is that this is a copper district. There's probably going to be several mines here. We have 52 kilometers.
You need to wave your arms big when you say that.
Yeah, well, we're geologists, we're explorationists. We see the big picture, and yeah. So I think it's that's what's got Rio Tinto really excited. So this summer, they're going to be evaluating the full 50-kilometer extent of the property from all of the compilation work they've done. They're going to get boots on the ground. They're going to get a rotary air blast drill, which is a lightweight rig to go around, and it's really going to be a prospecting tool this summer. And then they'll do some diamond drilling this summer as well. Looking at the regional, the big picture story, and hey, if they find something 20 kilometers away from where they focused last summer, then we're away to the races. This is going to show that indeed this is a very large world-class prospect.
Right, I get it. I mean, Rio Tinto is one of the biggest mining companies in the world. They're not going to mess around with some little, penny ante job. They're looking for go big or go home type targets. So it is very encouraging. Have they given you a budget? Like, do you know how much they're going to spend this year?
Well,
and are you carried? Do you have to participate, or is it all on them right now?
They've spent over $3 million last year. We're carried. The Rio Tinto deal is a staged earn-in, of course. So they spent $3 million last year. The budget that they've presented to us, they haven't given us a dollar number, but just looking at what it is they plan on doing, I estimate it's going to be easily $7 million this year between the summer program and the winter drill program. They'll probably have about 20,000 meters of drilling done over the next 8 months, and I think it's going to be a very successful year for both of us.
Of course you do, but no, that's interesting. The deliverable then here is not we're just stepping out along a known zone and we're going to see how big it is. They like the first zone, and so now they're going to look for more. And so it's really the objectives this year are regional, and we're going to see if it's potentially big enough for Rio Tinto, and then I guess in the future they decide where to focus in on further drilling. Is that right?
That's right. Certainly the summer program is going to be regional, and hopefully we'll have some really nice surprises. And then the winter program, which will commence in December, we'll go back to the areas that they drilled last year and start building up a resource. So after this year's program, that'll be well over $10 million that they'll have spent, which under the terms of the agreement with them, they will have earned a 51% interest in the project. Then they have a second option to spend another $20 million to earn a further 29%, total 80% after $30 million.
All right, and is your 20 that you would be left with, would that be fully carried, or would you have to participate at that time?
That will be a joint venture. We will be joint venture partners. We will have to come up with the budgets, 20% of the budgets at that time. By the time $30 million is done, I suspect we'll know whether we have a mine or not.
Well, sure. And if you have something big enough to interest Rio Tinto, your 20% will be more than big enough for a little junior. I get it. Is there anything in the deal that they would help you with, arrange your part of project finance if you went forward or something like that? Some JV deals have that in there.
Under the terms of the agreement, we can pledge our equity interest and raise debt. There's no backstop from Rio Tinto, for instance, but we will have the ability to debt finance the feasibility or the construction of a mine type of thing, and once we dilute down, if we go into a dilution phase, we end up with a 1% royalty on the project.
All right. Just one last question on this. I was a little confused by looking over the press releases, and it looked like there was all this stuff about the COVID-19 suspensions and so on. Are there any drill results still pending from Janice Lake or not? I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah. No. That program ran from August through to September last year, and all results of the 2019 program have been released. As I mentioned, over the winter, the original plan was they built a 110-kilometer winter haul road into the project. That was temporarily suspended. They got the road in, but they didn't get all the gear in to build the camp on site, unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 disruption. And we will, the plan is this summer to get that camp built on site, and they will operate the winter drill program and a major drill campaign starting in December from the on-site camp. This summer program and the 2,000 meters, 2 to 3,000 meters of drilling that we have planned, plus the RAB drilling, will be operated out of the camp that they used in 2019, which is 50 kilometers away and requires a little bit of helicopter time, and that can get pricey. So that's why we're only going to drill 2 to 3,000 meters this summer and save our money to go into the ground rather than into the air.
Sure. So if Rio Tinto got excited, they could afford a little bit of chopper time, I'm sure.
Yeah, but listen, we're part of we're on the technical committee. We do have some input, and we've operated in Saskatchewan for many, many years, and Rio Tinto certainly understands that as well. And we all understand that the best time to do the work, best bang for the buck and budget, is to work in the winter. So we both agreed to do most of the drilling in the wintertime.
Yes, especially when you're dealing with swampy ground and all that. It's well understood. All right. Yeah. So number 2 in your deck there is the Love Lake project, but that one does not have a partner yet. Is that correct? And so will you be doing field work this summer and any drilling there, or just surface work to hopefully interest a partner, or where does that stand?
Yeah. So after we got the Rio Tinto deal done, first of all, we looked in our own backyard of Saskatchewan to see what other opportunities are there for world-class deposits, and we focused on nickel and copper in our search, and came up with the Love Lake project, which surprisingly is only 60 kilometers away from Janice Lake, in a different geological terrain, but this was an area that had been intermittently explored for platinum group metals since the mid-'80s. Of course, platinum group metals occur with nickel and copper. So we recognized, we found out that basically all that ground was still open for claim staking. So we just went in and staked one very large prospect called Love Lake, and then we cherry picked with claims over old historical nickel copper PGM showings. And I can tell you we're really excited not only about the platinum group metals, palladium, platinum potential of our Love Lake project, but we think we've uncovered something that could be very interesting in the nickel copper space. Yeah,
well, again, I'm glad to hear that, because these other energy metals, I'm not hostile to them, whatever, but just the basics, right? We're going to need copper, and also as far as the batteries go, there are new designs that maybe don't have any cobalt at all, but they all have a lot of nickel in them. So I like nickel as a battery metal, and it has supply constraints, and so much of it comes from Russia. Who knows what happens with that. So I like the mineral suite. It's just so funny that you're working on these copper and nickel and other projects right on the edges of the Athabasca Basin, where everybody, and you yourself have your uranium roots. So it's just kind of peculiar. But again, so the just to be clear, there's no partner here yet. If you have a CA, you can't tell me. But the objective right now is to, give it a first whack yourself, or are you trying to get a partner to come in, or where are we at with this?
Yeah, we do own it 100%, Louis. Our project generator model has always been to do a little bit of work, and if the market conditions are right, we always like to get one drill campaign in. So when I may say market conditions are right, so that it's not too dilutive to the company to fund that drill campaign ourselves. So the first phase of what we'd like to do this summer is fly an airborne magnetic survey, high resolution, to take a look at these targets that we've identified as potential feeder zones for a large nickel copper deposit similar to Voisey's Bay, or more recently Chalice Gold's Julimar discovery. And then this summer, boots on the ground, get prospectors out there, get geologists out there, identify those target areas that we see that potential for nickel copper massive sulfide deposits, and areas of palladium enrichment. And yeah, either we drill it ourselves if the financing conditions are correct in 2021, winter of 2021, or at that time this fall, once we've collected this data, we find a partner to do that drilling.
If you ever hit exciting enough drill results, would you consider deviating from the prospect generator business model and just going after it yourselves? Or would you say, hey, this is great, but we'd still rather have other people's money follow up?
I mean, it's all conditional upon the market at the time. But yes, certainly we would. We could spin it out into a separate entity. That might be one dividended out to shareholders, for instance. That might be one avenue that we would pursue and self-finance it on its own. Yeah, we certainly would. We're building up the management team of nickel copper experts, because I don't profess to be. I've dabbled in nickel and copper in my past as a geologist of over, I hate to say it, 40 years, I guess. But we put together a good team. Dr. Larry Hulbert is our key advisor on this project. Dr. Hulbert worked at the Geological Survey of Canada for many, many years. Did his PhD on the Witwatersrand back in the day. He's been to Norilsk. He's been to every major nickel copper prospect in the world. So he's our chief advisor, and another consultant to the company at this stage is a fellow named Jim Atkinson out of Toronto, that was former VPX of Noront, that discovered the Eagle's Nest nickel copper ore body. So we're bringing in the right geos to help us move this project forward. Okie
doke. All right. Well, you are still in the Athabasca region, and you do still have some uranium projects going. And maybe just from where I first encountered the company, I still think of you in my head as a uranium player. I need to retool my thinking on this, obviously. But you do still have that Fur Island project and Uranos working there. It seemed like the last drill results were, theoretical progress. Smoke, no fire. Are they happy? What happens next? How's that going?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, we've explored in the Athabasca from 2004 to 17, and that's when we sort of switched out. So over those years, we have 7 drill-ready projects, and we just put them in inventory. There was enough credits to keep those assets in inventory for many, many years. Orano, which was formerly Areva, the French nuclear corporation, came to us when we first got the drill results from Fur Island in 2015, and they went, this looks interesting. And then we did a couple of small geophysical surveys, and geochemical surveys, and that really lit up their eyes. So we did that joint venture just in late 2019, and our first drill campaign was this February and March. This past February and March. Yes, more smoke, not the fire yet, but the smoke that we found was 1 kilometer to the south of what we discovered in 2015. So the structure that we're on, we think, is very prospective for uranium. It's showing all the earmarks that there could be a major deposit there. And Orano agrees with us after this program this year. They have to go through a budget process. but I fully expect that they will be drilling again next year on that project with us Forum as operators, which is nice because we get a nice 10% management fee, which helps pay for the heat and light bills.
Sure, but you don't get to claim later, well, they drilled it wrong. If you're operators, then it's on you to make sure you target those drill holes right.
Well, our vice president of exploration was formerly with Orano. Everyone knows each other very well and trusts each other in terms of the way they approach exploration. So, so that's going to be. I think there's going to be a big drill campaign next year. In fact, we didn't spend all the money in this year's budget, and I expect that will be added on to next year's budget. So it should be a pretty big drill campaign next year.
Okay. And as you said, you do have a number of other projects in the portfolio. Are any of them likely to see boots on the ground this summer or in this year?
Yeah, just Love Lake, and we did, much to our surprise, some ground came open in uranium that we went, whoa, well, we got to get this. It's it's within 50 within trucking distance of the McLean Lake Mill in the northeast part of the basin. And much to our surprise, we picked up all the ground that we wanted to stake. And there are radioactive boulders on surface in this ground. No one's really spent the right time, the right exploration approach to evaluate it. But there's radioactive boulders on right on the ground, so that means we got a near surface uranium occurrence of some sort. And yeah, maybe this is another Patterson Lake story coming together. Where
near surface though doesn't always mean nearby. Do you have any idea how far the glaciers might have taken those boulders?
Well, that's going to be part of, so you asked what we'd like to do this year. So that prospecting crew that we have going to Love Lake and mapping crew, we will send them up to this new project, which we call the Wollaston, and try and follow that boulder train. Yeah, that's the plan for this year.
Okay, so most of the money is going to be other people's money. You'll have Rio Tinto on your flagship project, Urano up there at Fur Island, and then you will do some surface work, but you're not going to, I mean, I don't know if you're going to drill Love Lake or not, but mostly surface work as I got it getting ready. So not a huge budget this year. I'm wondering, what is your own exploration spend that you plan, and how much do you have in the bank?
Always the question in the junior resource space. So we have 250 grand in the bank. We just completed pretty much a directors and officers and close associates financing just recently when the COVID pandemic unleashed itself. So we've taken measures to cut back costs and overheads. And we did that in-house or insider financing to keep things going, and we didn't know how this would affect the company. We have to be able to keep paying the transfer agent and the TSX fees and all of that. So that money is working capital. We've cut our burn rate down quite a bit to try and wanted to be sure we can get through the next 6 to 8 months. So that's the overhead side of the story. The what we'd like to spend on the ground is $500,000. The airborne and boots on the ground programs will amount to about $500,000, and we need to raise that money shortly.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Um, I'm not a broker, so I can't say, put my guys down for X amount or anything. I'm just a lowly newsletter writer. But we do have a lot of readers that like private placements, so please do let us know when you put that press release out. And a lot of our audience has an appetite for that. So who knows? Maybe there'll be some interest there. And thank you for the straightforward answer instead of humming and hawing around. Okay, we need to raise money for this year's exploration. Got it. And you've just said that you did a directors and insiders funding, so I appreciate that. You kept it to a minimum. Keep the lights on. Don't blow out the share structure, which has already been rolled back. I get it, but I have to say, I'm looking at your share structure. I see there's a fair whack of cheap warrants out there already. You have over 100 million shares issued, almost 150 fully diluted. That's a little worrisome. Do you know whose hands those are in? Is that something that I, as a prospective shareholder, should worry about?
Most of those warrants are in the hands. We did a nickel financing. I guess it's about a year and a half ago, and that's all within close associates' hands with most of our directors. Yeah, our directors brought in a lot of that cash. We did add some expertise to the board about a year ago with the group that brought that cash in out of the United Kingdom. So we've got a couple of new board members that we've added to the team, Burns Tennant Bowie and Paul Dennison, both who are, we've got to look outside of the North American capital markets these days. So they've got a lot of good access to capital in the UK and on the European continent.
So if all those warrants came in, how much would that cash you up? It looks like they're roughly around a dime. So
yeah, it'd be $1.5 million. Yeah, there's about 14 million. Outstanding now, I think. I think that's the number.
All right,
yeah.
So I have a pretty clear view, I guess, of where we're at and what we're doing going forward. So I've just got one more question I ask everybody, and that is, how much skin do you have in the game? If you're going to ask me as an investor to put my money into this stock, I want to know how much of your own money you've put into this.
Yeah, well, I've been fine. I participated in every financing of the company since 2004. And as you'd pointed out, we rolled it back in 2011. So my adjusted cost base is probably a lot higher than 8 cents. But have been I continue to participate in each financing to the tune of about over the years, I've probably put in about $300,000 in my own cash, I guess, and continue to buy the stock at these very low prices, especially with the potential that the company has now with these two joint ventures with Rio Tinto and Orano. I'm pretty excited about how things are about to unfold.
All right. And sorry, just to be clear, when you said I'm buying, you're not just referring to the placement. You also buy in the open market?
I have in the past, not a lot recently. Just saved that for putting it into the company. I try and save that for putting it funds into the company through private placements. Right. One of our new director in the UK is actively acquiring stock in the market, though. You can check that all out on the CDI filings. Sure.
No, I get the difference. If you buy on the market, you can support the share price, but it doesn't actually cash up the company. I understand the difference. But Just to make sure the audience is clear, what he's saying about the pre-rollback purchases is that on an adjusted cost basis, he's in the red vis-a-vis the current share price. So he's highly motivated to see share prices come up just to get back to make himself whole. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your candor on that. Those are really my questions. I think I have a pretty good idea of what you're hoping to do this summer. And if any last thing you'd like to make sure that our audience is aware of?
No, actually, I think you've covered it pretty well, Louis. I really think that the Janice Lake project is going to be a real winner for our shareholders. We're totally undervalued in the market. I think copper has a great future ahead of it, and eventually people are going to recognize that in the market, and we'll see much higher prices than the 8.5 to 9 bid ask that we have today.
Sure.
Our market valuation is about $10 million, and that can I think that can change quite quickly with some good drill results coming out of Janice Lake.
Well, sure. And once the financing question's out of the way, and then you've got your summer drilling going on, that all makes sense. Hopefully, copper will cooperate with us here. The jobs report out of the U.S. today is surprisingly better than anybody expected. So maybe the bears among us have been too gloomy, and maybe copper will come back sooner. But regardless, I get it. I understand. Keep us posted. Let us know, and the best of luck with it.
Hey, thanks, Louis, and. You have a great day. Give your kids a hug.
It's a good reminder. Thank you. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.